What I wish to present in this video is from a monograph I have written entitled The Theology of the Deuce, and why the questioning of monotheism is a necessary act of philosophical and religious integrity. Reality does not arise from a one, nor does it arise from a three. It arises from two. Not two derived beings, not two created principles, but two uncreated, co-eternal, and irreducible realities, a God and Goddess. This claim places the present work outside the boundaries of monotheistic orthodoxy and Trinitarian compromise alike. It is therefore not an exercise in theology as traditionally practiced, but in theology, a discourse that refuses to collapse the divine into a singular masculine abstraction. To make such a claim today is considered hubris. I argue that it is precisely the opposite. In classical thought, hubris is not the act of questioning the gods. Hubris is the act of misnaming them, or worse, reducing them. Socrates was executed not because he denied the gods, but because he refused to accept the corrupted forms they had taken in the Athenian religion. He insisted that the gods, as popularly conceived, no longer bore the marks of truth, goodness, or intelligibility. His crime was not impiety, but precision. What I wish to present stands in that lineage. To question monotheism is not to deny divinity. It is to question whether divinity has been conceptually mutilated. I want to begin with the failure of the monad. Monotheism rests on the assumption that unity is primary. This assumption is philosophically indefensible. Unity is not self-explanatory. It is intelligible only in contrast to multiplicity. A one cannot be defined without the possibility of two. Relation is prior to unity, not derived from it. Thus, the monad cannot function as a first principle. It is already a conclusion. When monotheism asserts an absolute one, it quietly imports relation, differentiation, and generation as secondary features, thereby smuggling plurality back into what it claims is singular. This is not coherence. It's fundamentally a concealment. On the other hand, Trinitarian theology attempts to resolve this problem by positing three persons within one essence. But this maneuver solves nothing. Either the persons are real, in which case unity is false, or the unity is real, in which case the persons are metaphors. The Trinity is not a solution to the problem of the one. It is an evasion of the problem of the two. Notably, the Trinity excludes the feminine entirely, rendering generation paradoxical and relation asymmetrical. A God who generates without a goddess must either generate it from himself, which is metaphysically incoherent, or collapse generation into abstraction. Now, the uncreated dyad, which I am advancing, asserts instead that there was never one, there were always two. God and Goddess are not created beings. They are not parts of a higher unity. They are co-eternal, relatively opposed, and mutually defining. They do not merge, they do not resolve, they do not originate from a prior source. Their relation is not numerical, but ontological. Only when their energies interrelation does creation begin. So time is not eternal, time is created. Time arises from the energies of God and Goddess when they enter into a measurable relationship. That measure is called chronos in my system here, which I am going to be presenting. Now, prior to Chronos, prior to time, there is no sequence, no number, no before or after. And here is it. It's important for me to introduce this concept of sect. Sect is the distinction between light and dark, day and night. And what I am going to be advocating is that sect is eternal, that there is an eternal section between the masculine and the feminine, and both are uncreated, both are eternal, neither are temporal. Light and dark are mutually defining phenomenon prior to time. Day and night are their temporalizations once revolution begins. Okay, this distinction is really critical. Time does not define the divine. The divine defines time. Why this must be said now? Modern monotheism no longer defends itself philosophically. It defends itself morally, socially, and politically. It asserts that unity is necessary for order. Totalitarian thinking influences ethics and meaning. History now, with hindsight certainly, suggests otherwise. The suppression of the feminine, divine, has coincided with the suppression of relational ontology, embodied wisdom, and cosmological balance. To restore the goddess is not to regress into myth. It is to restore intelligibility. So what I seek to be presenting in what follows in the following videos is really not a call to abandon reason or the divine. It is a call to finish using our reason. We come from a mother and a father. To take this real ontological reality and to project it up to the divine, I think is very rational and something that's very necessary. So, like Socrates, I do not claim to possess, divine knowledge per se. I claim only that the current orthodoxy does not withstand examination. And to question monotheism today is not arrogance, and it's not an atheistic position. It is a philosophical responsibility. And the Deuce really does not abolish God, but it balances God out. It rescues divinity from reduction and atheism, ironically. I wish to thank you for listening to this introduction. I wanted to encourage you to listen to this again and to consider maybe the finer points that I'm going to be bringing up in future discussions. Thank you very much for your attention.